Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So as I mentioned, we begin tonight with a public hearing regarding ARPA funding. Ms. Clerk, Madam Clerk, would you call the legal, or read the legal notice, please?
The Town Council of the Town of Cheshire shall hold a public hearing at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, to consider the following proposed resolutions. Resolution reallocating $292,500 in ARPA funds from the Cheshire Community Pool Aquatics Enhancement Project to the development of Chapman Bartlam Park South Project, and resolution appropriating $292,500 for Cheshire Community Pool aquatic enhancements and authorizing the issue of $292,500 bonds and notes to finance the appropriation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Kimball, would you like to do the presentation on the hearing subject, please?
Sure. Can you hear me? There we go. So as discussed at our prior council meetings, tonight we have a hearing on actions to be taken later in the regular meeting, immediately following. The two actions are a reallocation of $292,500 of American Rescue Plan Act funds from the Cheshire Community Pool Aquatics Enhancement, or Splash Pad project, to the development of the Chapman Bartlam Park South project, and also subsequent bond authorization for $292,500 for the Cheshire Community Pool Aquatics Enhancement Project to replace those reallocated funds. As we've discussed before, ARPA funds must be committed or in a contracted status by December 31st of 2024. And as the Splash Pad project is still under design, and yet the Bartlam Park South project is committed, contracted, and at this point nearly complete. In order to continue the design, we are requesting that the funds basically be switched between the two projects, such that the ARPA funds are now in the same amount committed to the Bartlam Park South project, and conversely, we have a bond authorization for the same amount to the Splash Pad. In the end, the taxpayers have no net increase or decrease in the amount of burden, because we're simply bonding less for one, more for the other, but in the same amount. So that's the proposal, and we'll have action on it later at the meeting immediately following the hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Anyone that would like to address the public hearing topic on the ARPA funds, as explained just now by Mr. Kimball, can come up to the podium and speak on the public hearing topic. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Which brings us to our regular meeting of Tuesday, December 10th. We'll dispense with the roll call and the pledge, which brings us to item number 3, public communication. Attorney D'Onofrio, if you would, please.
Good evening. I know that there's quite a few people that are here tonight because they're concerned about the dogs that the town seized. And I want to start off by saying how much we appreciate the support and the passion and the concern for the dogs. We all of us up here share that concern. And when this all began, the town was forced with a very difficult decision. Should the town get involved? Should the town seize the dogs, knowing that it would lead, in all likelihood, to litigation and considerable expense? Or should the town treat it as a private matter and stay out of it? The town never hesitated to act swiftly once it became aware of the situation. And we can't yet go into the details of what transpired, when, and why. And I'm going to explain to you tonight why that is. All of us up here take one or more oaths. The town manager, the town council, and I, we're all subject to a town code of ethics that requires us to put the interest of the town ahead of any other interest, including our own self-interest. I, as well, take an oath as a lawyer to comply with the rules of professional conduct, which involve not only attorney-client privilege and zealous advocacy for my client, but also protecting the interests of my client. We still have a state court litigation and a federal bankruptcy court matter that are very close to resolution but have not been fully and finally resolved. And until they're fully and finally resolved, any public discussion about the details could undermine the town's interest and could undermine what we've all worked so hard to accomplish over the last couple of years. So, I can tell you that in hindsight, there's no question in my mind that the town most certainly did the right thing by acting, okay? And I understand that there's specific concerns about specific dogs. I also understand that you probably all know that once the town was legally able to offer the dogs for adoption, that the town, with tremendous support from the Connecticut Humane Society, was able to place the dogs for adoption very quickly. So I understand, I hear people laughing and I see people rolling their eyes, but the reality is the town had to make a decision. And the town made the right decision because there's no question that the outcome that was achieved is vastly superior to the outcome that would have occurred if the town didn't step in. That's all I'm going to say for now because, like I told you, I'm not going to get into more details that could undermine the final resolution that we all want here. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Onofrio. Brings us to item 3A, public comments. Anyone that would like to address the town council may do so at this time. The podium on the right-hand side. You will be asked to state your name, your address. Please hold your comments to 3 minutes. And off we go.
Hi, my name is Jean Melendez. Before I read what I have written, I want to share that nobody here is going to talk about the case that the town council can't speak about. I don't need to tell you all why we're here or why the number of concerned Cheshire residents and animal advocacy agencies grow each day and stand with us. You have all known about the allegations, complaints, pictures, and videos of negligence and cruelty occurring at the Cheshire Pound for several months. You all have the documents. You have everything that I speak of. I shouldn't have to tell you about Nene, the sweet dog who had fluffy hair and who, while under the care of the ACO, had urine scald on his little legs and belly, with his eyes stuck shut from so much thick discharge he couldn't even see. He was brought to the vet in that condition, where the vet filed a neglect and cruelty complaint unbeknownst to the ACO, who asked the vet to euthanize him. I shouldn't have to repeat the story of Lily, another sweet dog who was well loved, or share that the ACO texted her friends asking if she'd need a lawyer because Lily lost the use of her legs in her care. The ACO ended that text communication with LOL, laughing out loud. LOL at an animal that lost the use of their back legs. Lily then was euthanized. I shouldn't have to point out that the Cheshire Pound has failed multiple inspections, and said failures have not been remedied, or that while under the care and supervision of the Cheshire Pound, 2 of these seized animals mated, giving birth to 2 additional puppies. We heard 1 puppy had died and 1 was alive. I have requested records, but I have received sparse to no vet records, 3 grooming records over 2 years, but 0 records describing the death of these animals or any necropsy reports. The presser released yesterday, which said all the animals from the seizure were safe and happy in forever homes, is false. We know that 5 animals went to the Connecticut Humane Society, not a forever home yet. 1 animal went to a rescue in Rhode Island, not a forever home. 3 died at the pound. I guess that is a forever home. And others were, at least as stated, adopted. But we have no information, no public records of any adoptions, instead stifling silence from those who should have not hidden this from us. My record request to inform the public is on the Cheshire Slow Track. I've not received a fraction of the records I've asked for. The record request is in the public interest, but we, the public, seem to be the last to know anything. We have been officially told that anyone involved in the case cannot speak to us. However, the ACO, although not allowed to speak to us, seems to have permission to communicate the case via text to multiple people and post on Facebook. The ACO has also confided in family members with insider knowledge to speak on her behalf, also on Facebook. This should not be the way the Cheshire town operates. Why are so few records kept? Why are there no consistent vet records or grooming appointments for these animals? 3. I have 3 records in 2 years of grooming appointments. Why were complaints regarding the pound and its employees never remedied? These few questions don't even scratch the surface of what we, as the public, have a right to know. We expect that the town council call a special meeting to provide transparency to the town's residents and all who are watching. We expect the town to both address accountability and to change the pound in good faith. No more subterfuge. Cheshire can do better. We can do better.
Thank you, Ms. Melendez.
Good evening. Thank you. Okay. Good evening. My name is Mickey Ulizio. I've been in Cheshire a resident for 52 years. I am presently on the board of Forever in My Heart Foundation, which trains dogs for veterans with PTSD and children with autism. I sat on the original committee for the establishment of the dog park. I'm here tonight only because I do have some information that I have gotten through public knowledge. I became aware of these dogs being taken from a difficult situation in October of 2022. At that time, I did contact the ACO, asked if there's anything that I could do. She informed me of the legalities of the situation, that I couldn't come down. I said I would walk the dog. She said, not allowed. 2 reasons. 1, court order. 2, because these dogs were never vaccinated. And my bringing my presence into there when I already have dogs would be a danger. I did check this out with the breeder. She thought that was an acceptable answer for me. Wasn't happy with it because I really wanted to play with the dogs, but I accepted the answer. So what I would like to say about this is that during the 2 years and 1 month that these dogs have been there, I have followed this case very carefully. As some of you town council people know, I have contacted you consistently about what was going on. I have talked to the town attorney. I have talked to the chief of police. I have talked to trainers. I have talked to directors of other organizations to see if this was kosher, the things that were going on. I did want more information. However, I respect the town officer and the town officials. If they tell me that the court orders they cannot say it, then I accept that. However, I, unlike many other people in this room, did go to court. I have been to court several times for both of the cases that are related to the disposition of these dogs. I have sat through the court cases, sometimes very unhappy with the decisions that were made by the judicial system. But this is America, that when the judicial system makes a regulation, I follow it. So I have monitored it. I just want to refer to my notes for 1 minute. Okay, over the past 2 years, I have also spent many hours, hundreds of hours, down at the kennel. I have observed firsthand, so I am an eyewitness to what happened with a number of the dogs down there. Again, not allowed to touch them. I witnessed what was going on. I witnessed the cleaning process that went on once and sometimes twice a day. Those dogs were taken out of their run, put in a crate. The excrement was then cleaned. The beds were removed. The dishes were removed. They were all sanitized. The place was sanitized, disinfectant. Huge fans were put there to dry it off. And then the dogs were removed from the crates and put back in the runs. As I said, I had to see this from a distance. I saw with my eyes what was going on. So when people tell me that the kennels were not clean, I am telling you that was not true. Am I angry? I am angry. Not because people are involved, because I applaud all the advocates and the people who have asked questions. It's the only way anything ever gets changed. As the saying goes, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I applaud that. However, what has greatly saddened me is the anger and the hatred that has been all over the media. We wouldn't accept that from children, and I find it difficult to think that as adults, that's how we're going to advocate for change. That just doesn't work, as we tell the children. In closing, I just want to say that thank you to the long-term volunteers that have been there. As you know, we've had one volunteer that just died that was there for over 40 years. We have another volunteer still there, been over 30 years. So there are a number of good things going on. And we forget that in the midst of all this, of taking care of those 28 with the dog, number of the dogs that were taken, by the way. 28, let's get this fact straight. 28 dogs. In addition to that, the office also had to take care of all the roaming dogs, all the rabid dogs. And I will close with one thing. 2 weeks ago, I was very angry seeing what people were put on, talking about the town and about the ACO. And I said to her, I am very angry about this. And I'll leave you with her quote, which I'm sure she didn't know that I was going to quote. Quote, I said to her, I'm very angry about what's happening. Her comment to me was, these are my dogs. I've taken care of them for 2 years. I love them, and I only want the best home for them. So let's think about that when we're pointing fingers at people. But again, thank you for being involved. I appreciate it, and as a taxpayer of Cheshire, I'm glad that the dogs, at least most of them, have found good homes, and the rest of them will find good homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lizio. Madam Clerk, did you get Mr. Lizio's address?
158 Belridge Road.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good evening.
My name is Ava Reyes, and before I start speaking, I just want to say to all of you up here that I mean no form of disrespect. I come with all the love in my heart for all of these animals, for any animal. So right off the bat, I'm just going to start speaking. As someone who treated one of these animals while they were hospitalized in RER, Lily's story, along with her housemates, is one of a neglect and heartbreak situation. As they were taken into Cheshire's animal control facility, instead of receiving the proper care and compassion as expected in an AC facility, these animals endured appalling conditions that only worsened their trauma. Upon entering the facility, they were confined to filthy cages soaked with urine and feces that I witnessed with my own eyes. Day after day, no one cleaned kennels, animals left with no water bowls, forcing them to become dehydrated, no blankets to lie on, leaving them to lie on cold and dirty concrete floors, adding physical discomfort to their emotional distress. Despite this facility's responsibility to provide basic care, staff members appeared indifferent. Animal control officers frequently absorbed in their personal phones while listening to the facility's phone ringing endlessly, unanswered. The lack of urgency and compassion was appalling. These animals deserve dignity, comfort, and the hope of finding new homes, but instead forced to face further suffering in an environment meant to help them. Lily's story serves as a wake-up call for accountability, ensuring no animal endures such neglect under the eyes of care. It's time for change, for oversight, and for commitment to humane treatment for all animals in custody. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, did you get Ms. Melendez's full address? Thank you.
One short. Hi, my name is Linda Pleva at 23 Norton Place in Plainville. I, as a member of Desmond's Army, I advocate for stronger laws, stronger prosecutions, and stronger penalties for people who abuse animals. Members of our organization have seen every type of heinous act there is performed against animals. Although when stacked against violent crimes, neglect seems not so serious. However, it is my opinion that neglect is one of the scariest crimes out there. A person who can watch an animal suffer, not for just a moment, but day after day after day, and who does nothing to stop it, is a frightening person. A person who does not feel empathy and is not compelled to act when watching an animal suffer is frightening to me. That's a frightening person. We sometimes can give latitude to a person who simply might be uneducated, or who doesn't know that there are resources available to them, or who is financially unable to help their pet. But that isn't the case here. Animal control has a duty to protect animals, especially those in their care. Desmond's Army has worked very hard to elevate the public's perception of our animal control officers. We hope that they are no longer considered the dog catchers of the past, those who capture, cage, and euthanize whatever animal they can. The vast majority of ACOs are well-respected, professional animal lovers who deeply care about animals and who do the job because it is a calling, not because it's a paycheck. We beg people every day to report cruelty or roaming or lost dogs or cats to animal control because we want those animals protected, and we trust animal control to do just that. In this case, our trust has been betrayed. Years of work changing the public perception of ACOs has been set back in time by this one case of alleged animal cruelty at the hands of a person whose duty it was to protect them. My personal opinion is that ACOs should be held to a higher standard and punished more harshly than a person whom the public doesn't depend on to care for animals in their charge. This is an injustice not only to those dogs in this case, but also it's an injustice to every animal control out there. We respectfully ask for an independent investigation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mike Cole. I live at 1274 Cheshire Street. If you went to my house tonight, you might think it was a very dirty house. When I sell it in Cheshire, in whatever time, it's going to look fantastic. So I don't question either of the people because they have their individual experience. What I question is the town of Cheshire, because is the pound and the ACL not under the town itself? So with cases like these, my feeling is it should not be individuals who say, I went by, I saw something on Facebook, this was my experience. This is a town organization, if I'm not correct. The town of Cheshire takes responsibility if the town pound is not doing its job. It's what we pay for as taxpayers for it to do its job well. So I would ask whoever is in charge of this, whoever's in charge of making sure that it is clean, that the dogs are taken care of, that's the person who needs to be speaking and having accountability and accuracy to tell us what it was like in there, because that's the person whose responsibility it is, not the citizens themselves. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Hi, my name is Kathy Rajunas, 60 Clintonville Road, Northford, Connecticut. First, I would like to tell you that I am a member of Desmond's Army. We're an animal advocate group. We are the voice of the voiceless. Those are the animals that are here in our state. 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, Cheshire was entrusted the care of 28 dogs by the courts in Connecticut due to an animal cruelty case. The owner was not the abuser, the son was. The owner, however, was a backyard illegal breeder. Unfortunately, after the dogs were taken from the family household, their quality of life didn't improve. In fact, under the care of the Cheshire ACO, these dogs suffered from severe neglect. From day one, the animal advocate attorney reached out who was appointed by the courts in the state of Connecticut, reached out to the ACO, the Cheshire ACO, to offer assistance for the care of these dogs in terms of food, giving care, grooming, vet expenses, and the Cheshire ACO turned this offer down. The ACO was also the person that classified these dogs as evidence. No court records ever indicated that these dogs were evidence in the cruelty case in the courts. Your ACO also stated that the dogs could not be dispersed among other shelters. The court never had that written down. Never. There's nothing in writing about that. As a matter of fact, there are many cruelty cases and hoarding cases in the state of Connecticut, I'm sure you've seen, where other shelters come to the aid. These ACOs have a community where they help each other so that dogs could be given, and cats and other animals, the proper care that they deserve. I'm pleading with you to ask your ACO why this was written down and why this was done. I also know that in May of 2022, the animal advocate attorney assigned by the courts in the state of Connecticut and a fellow ACO visited the Cheshire AC. Both were disgusted by the inhumane and unsanitary conditions. And that is why the attorney advocate for these dogs contacted your attorney for the town and notified this attorney of the disgusting conditions in your shelter. 2 months later, in July of 24, Nene was brought to the vet by your ACO and was asked the veterinarian to euthanize her. Not to take care of her for some condition, but just to euthanize her, because she was in horrid, horrid condition. The veterinarian did euthanize Nene, rightfully so. But beforehand, the veterinarian did take these pictures, and I have plenty more to show you. That is not a well taken care of animal. These pictures were used to send a report of abuse to the State of Connecticut Department of Agriculture, because that's what this veterinarian considered. This was abuse. The necroscopies were done on 2 of those dogs, Lily and Nene, and I can tell you that Nene was found to have no stomach contents whatsoever in the necroscopy. I implore you, all of you here, to read and reread those necroscopy reports. What am I looking for and why am I here tonight? Well, I'm asking Cheshire to please allow an independent, outside investigation into this atrocity that just occurred. Not your police department, because as we all know, the Cheshire AC is under the realms of your police department. I'm talking about an independent agency. Come in and look at these pictures. I'm asking an audit of the town of Cheshire and their animal control, because we know that with 28 extra dogs, your vet bills must have been astronomical. Your line item budget for the animal control must have increased 300, 400% over the past 2 years. And again, aside from Cheshire, I am asking the state of Connecticut to do an audit on the Department of Agriculture, and in particular, their chief state ACO, who failed Cheshire Animal Control. You do know in an inspection, you failed a state inspection of your animal control. And she never came back to do her 90-day follow-up. And no upgrades were done at the animal control unless you know of it through any type of financial line items that's occurred. I don't know whether I'm at my time, but I would like to say I am? Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
But I
If
could?
you got, 10 more, 20 more seconds to.
20 more seconds. I'm a mother of 2 grown daughters, and the first thing I taught them in life, if you make a mistake, fess up to it, own it. Tell someone you made a mistake, rectify it, and never do it again. What I'm asking you is investigate this, fess up to a mistake that your ACO did, and you know what? Don't ever let this happen again to another animal. And I also want you to know that the person behind this whole incident pled guilty yesterday and received his jail sentence. He's away for a while. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jim. Anyone else?
Hello. Excuse me, I'm Diane Schaefer, 20 Vanessa Court in Cheshire. When I first saw the Facebook photos of the dog from the pound, I thought that that's what animals in pounds in the Ukraine, in a bombed-out city or a destitute country must look like. These can't be from our beautiful, kind, affluent, educated town of Cheshire. That's supposedly the 28th best community to live in the United States. The town that I've proudly called home with my family since 1996. And then I read how no one from the town can comment because of legal issues, and that simple basic care couldn't be rendered to the dogs because they were quote-unquote evidence. I'm just an ordinary person with no affiliation to any animal organization who actually only has cats at home. But I could clearly see neglect and animals suffering when I looked at those pictures. I mean, could nothing be done? Could anyone in charge call our town attorney? And I'm sorry, I didn't know we even had a town attorney. But just to ask the judge if to allow these previously abused animals normal basic grooming, housing, veterinary care, and human touch from volunteers? I mean, this whole issue is just mind-boggling to me. Like, how could this happen? Who was responsible? Who knew about this? The wall of secrecy by town officials is a reason why the public's faith in government is steadily eroding in our country. I respectfully ask for you to consider our concerns and come up with an action plan you reveal to the public, so this neglect of defenseless animals is never seen or allowed in our town again. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer.
Hello, folks. My name is Jim Block. I live on 60 Contour Drive in Cheshire. I addressed the council last month, and I probably might be addressing them for several more months. This is so upsetting, the way this took place. I see people blaming the ACO, and I just don't know. I think that might be the case, but there may be blame to go around. I know, the way I understand it, animal control is supervised by a lieutenant in the police department, who then answers to the chief, who then answers to the town manager, who answers to the council. It's presently run primarily by Mr. Talbot. Somewhere along the line, it took more than the ACO to screw this up. I do not possibly understand how anybody thought that having 30 dogs roughly in that could be taken care of by one ACO. Even 1.5 ACOs. The other ACO quit or left or whatever. Instantly, they should have hired kennel hands. You don't need an ACO. You don't need to be a genius to know that one person can't take good care of 30 dogs. How the police department didn't go across the street, it's not very far, 200 feet, to inspect it, see what's going on, hire somebody. I would gather you could hire somebody in a day or 2 or 3. I know you're good people, but it got screwed up, and somebody should fess up. This is what happened. People would have a world of respect for you folks if you just said, hey, we screwed up with the care. No one's asking for details of the case. No one's asking. It's a little hard to believe when I write a heartfelt letter to Mayor Talbot, and then I get the form letter back. I spend 2-3 hours writing on the letter, and then I get no answer. Then I write to Miss Allard, and then I get an answer from both of them within an hour that says, we don't misinterpret our lack of response with a lack of caring. Well, I believe there is a lack of care. There is caring, but there was not proper supervision. Someone along the line screwed up. If it was the ACO, it was not all the ACO. It was either the police department who supervises. Maybe the police department shouldn't be supervising animal control. Maybe animal control should go to a public works department, somebody else, somebody who can do a better job. It took more than one person to screw up. I won't waste any more of your time. I'm hoping not to have to come here every month. I'm hoping not to have to make photos of the copies of all these terrible photos and hand them out door to door, because anybody I've shown them to, any neighbor, is like, that happened in animal control? And I tell them, yeah, they had one person watching 30 animals. Shouldn't have happened and didn't have to happen. I've seen problems at town council before, other administrations, the 4 years I've lived here, but they all dealt with something more severe, more ideological, whether it was the pride flag. This didn't have to happen. Everybody likes dogs. Hire somebody. Step in, solve the problem. At this point, say what went wrong, say what screwed up, we're sorry, and this is what we're going to do about it. And one last thing, that press release yesterday was insane, saying that all the dogs went to good homes, when we have the chief of police saying to us at the town budget meeting that he has concerns that the dogs are not going to go to good homes, that they're going to be returned. So you made it seem so optimistic, so wonderful. I wish it were true. But maybe the police department doesn't have the time to handle animal control. But it's not believable that they all went to good homes. We know already that that wasn't totally true. Thank you. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Block.
Hi, my name is Sylvie Hangen. I live at 185 North Timber Lane. And I want to second what everybody said, especially this woman. I can't believe this is happening in our town. It's shocking to me that this kind of neglect could happen. Even if you couldn't afford to hire somebody, there are a ton of volunteers. To get through high school, you need volunteer hours. And I understand that volunteer hours aren't actual, full-time people, but that's a start. And I've lived here 26 years, and I've never seen a dog run around in that little yard that they have. My son went to Highland. I've never seen a dog walk that yard. I didn't even think there were dogs in there. And so I'm just shocked at the status. We are better than this. We are looking for volunteers. I will happily volunteer to help with the dogs, but to have this care and these photos and these pictures and then to deny and the lack of transparency, it's unconscionable. I just can't understand it. We are better than this. If we need funding, then this town is wealthy enough. We can afford it. Can we afford it? Yes, we can afford it. And so if you need money, then do it. But for goodness sake, don't let these dogs suffer. I mean, the pictures that we saw and the lack of transparency, it's hard for me to reconcile. So I'm not gonna hold up any more of your time. I'm just, as a person who's been here for 26 years and never seen a dog out in that yard, we need change. I'm not blaming the AOC, I'm actually blaming the leadership. If they report to the police department, then the police department is doing something wrong. So that's all I will say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hagan.
Good evening. My name is Lori Ratchelis. I live at 42 Harrison Road here in Cheshire. Thank you all for having this meeting tonight and giving us the opportunity to speak. I had a whole speech written, but everyone here seemed to touch upon everything, and it would be quite redundant. However, I think we can all agree on that we came here tonight to be the voice for these animals, to be the voice for Nene, to be the voice for Lily, and to be the voice for Angie's puppy who was deceased. I have questions as a town resident, as an animal lover. We've all been waiting for records from the town, veterinarians, for us to say, oh, thank goodness they received vet care. They received some sort of care, because the idea of 2 years of no vet care is mind-boggling, and not only our town, but in our state. It is mind-boggling. I hold up these pictures tonight as I'm hearing a supporter of our animal control saying that she was quoted our animal control officers as saying these were her dogs. She loved these dogs. But this is not someone who, if this is someone who loves their dogs, then I question how her dogs or animals are treated. Because these dogs were severely neglected, and no, these dogs did not come into the shelter looking that way. Nor did the dog, Lily, with the paralysis of the back legs, come into the shelter with paralysis. We are a wonderful, wonderful town. We have a large community. We have local animal control facilities in our adjacent towns, Southington, Wallingford, Wolcott, who have wonderful, Meriden, who have a wonderful volunteer program. The animal control officers rely on those volunteers. We want to help. We want to stop hearing, no, you can't help. Why? We aren't here to talk about the case. What led these dogs to come into animal control 2 years and 1 month ago? We're here to talk about how dogs could be in this condition under the care of our animal control officer.
Yes.
I want to personally help, and I know almost every person in this room would be willing to help too. Please take it upon yourselves to allow us to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ratchelis.
Hello. Hi. My name's Tony Bagliori. My wife and I, 1191 Meriden Avenue, Southington, Connecticut. My wife and I, for the past 22 years, run Best Friends for Life Animal Rescue. And I just want to comment that in 22 years, we've known lots of ACOs and have friends, and they're really good people. I mean, we've seen a lot of things over the 22 years, but I mean, this is just so disturbing and so disgusting. I mean, I cannot believe the things I'm hearing, that this could be allowed right here in Cheshire, Connecticut. I mean, this is just unbelievable. This is a very, very disgusting, disturbing story. And I don't know about anyone else in this room, but my question is, what kind of operation are you guys running? And what kind of people are you hiring? Can anybody answer that? Honestly, what kind of operation you're running and what kind of people are you hiring? This is who the town entrusts? This is how the town of Cheshire is run? I mean, I've seen a lot of bad things. We've worked with Texas, Mississippi, New York City. But right here in Cheshire, Connecticut, this is unacceptable. I hope somebody can answer these questions and make some changes. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Bagliari.
Hi, my name's Amy Lynn Gentile. I live at 15 Chiswick Lane, Barkhamsted, Connecticut. I am a professional groomer, pet stylist of over 30 years. I didn't call, but I did offer to volunteer my grooming to her for services, and if she needed a foster for any of the little dogs, that I was open to it. I am just appalled because I did see a picture of Nene that was beautiful. I don't know if anybody has it, but she was beautiful. She had this little smile on her face, and the next picture that I saw was just matted and just, it was just, I was like, I can't believe that this is the same dog. As a groomer, I do offer my services to 3 ACOs in Connecticut, and they call me right away. I mean, they get dogs taken care of. I've seen dogs that are matted, and this is Nene with a smile. But I think that everybody needs to really look at Nene with a smile, and then look at Nene where she is just matted, and she has urine stains all over her, and scalding, and nails long, and I don't know if any of you have pets at your home, but this is just unacceptable. This is total cruelty. I mean, I've been to the ACOs that I work for, and their places are spotless, clean. I can walk in at any time. I just knock on the door. They let me in. I'm totally disgusted. I can't even believe an ACO could let these dogs be treated like this. And as a professional groomer, I mean, there's a lot of us groomers out there that would volunteer our time. Absolutely. My heart is huge. And I know a lot of other people's heart is huge too, but I was turned away. They didn't want me to groom, and they didn't want me to foster. And now where is everybody? 3 are dead, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lori Barnes. I spoke at the last meeting about the dogs. I live at 532 East Johnson Avenue. I did have some correspondence with April in the last several months because I've always tried to reach out to her, and I think I shared that at the last meeting. But I want to be more specific. In the FOIA, in the information, some of the information that we received, one of the answers was answered, and it said, one of the questions was answered, and it said, when do the dogs go outside? I believe that's it, was the question, Jean? And I did ask April this question, and that's a very important question because the dogs need to go outside. They need to use the bathroom. They need to, it's part of their care, going outside, walking them, and I will send it all in a message to all of you. April's response to me was, when I have time. That was her response to me. She was annoyed at me asking her to help. She was done with me asking her questions. She got very snarky with me. I'll send you the screenshot of the entire, and I'd been asking respectfully. I said, I don't want to talk about the case. Nobody here wants to talk about the case. That's a whole separate issue. Respectfully, Attorney Gianfrio, we don't want to talk about the case and the specifics of it. We want to talk about how these animals came to look like that in the 2 years that they were in our care. It's redundant what I'm saying, but maybe we need to keep saying it. But I respectfully want to tell you that this is not going to go away. We are not going to go away from this. It is not going to disappear. We can even agree to disagree. There's forgiveness and transparency. I know somebody else mentioned it. There's always we made a mistake, we didn't handle this right, and then we move on and we make changes. But the wall that has been put up and the denial of care that has been taken with these animals is unacceptable. And I just wanted to make it clear, because nobody else said that we are not going to go away. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Bennis, 35 Cambridge Drive. I am a Cheshire resident. This is my first time in 20 years living here that I'm at Town Hall attending one of these meetings. It is undeniable that these poor, innocent dogs were neglected and suffered while in the care of our town. No animal should ever have to live like this, particularly when they are under the care of an institution entrusted with their safety and well-being. The documents and pictures that have come to light have clearly shown a disturbing pattern of neglect. I myself have opened my home to fostering, and I have opened my home to adoption. So I am relieved to hear that the remaining surviving dogs are no longer in the care of Cheshire. I find it deeply ironic that this shift comes on the heels of tonight's meeting. It begs the question, why has it taken our town so long to take the appropriate action for these dogs? Someone had mentioned that the adoptions went quickly. And as I had mentioned, I am a foster. I have fostered and I have adopted. And I can tell you that the process, it does not go swiftly. There is applications, there's background checks, there's a lot that goes into it. There's vetting. I don't believe any of these dogs were vetted. The suffering of these dogs should have ended when they were seized from animal cruelty case about 2 years ago. Instead, it took public outcry and scrutiny for the town to finally do right by them. Unfortunately, that came a little too late for 3. As we move forward, I implore the town officials to conduct a thorough, independent investigation into this, regardless of who that may include, and provide a full disclosure of all findings. Transparency is essential, not only to restore the community's faith and trust, but to ensure that there is an effective intake, discharge process, and detailed records of all the well care that is being given. We as a town and strong community must ensure this type of failure never happens again to the lost, the weak, and the helpless animals that come through the doors of Cheshire Pound seeking rescue. We will stand united and be their voice.
Thank you, Ms. Venice. Anyone else? Seeing none, I thank you all for attending. I want you all to know that every person seated at this table, including the counselor we have on Zoom tonight, is a current or former dog owner, many of us with rescue animals. So I thank you again for attending, and with that, we will move forward with our regular meeting of December 10th. Which brings us to item number 4, the approval of minutes. The minutes of the November 12th, 2024 regular town council meeting. I will accept a motion. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Thank you, Mr. Jinks. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Kramer, thank you. Thank you. Brings us to item number 5, the consent calendar for December 10th. Mr. Jinks.
Wait a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Be it resolved, the town council approves resolution number 121024-1, the consent calendar for December 10th, 2024. Be it resolved, the town council approves the consent calendar for December 10th, 2024 as follows.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you, Ms. Pearson. All those. Which brings us to item number 6. There are no items removed from the consent calendar, which brings us to old business, and I will ask Mr. Gussenberg to talk to us about the school building construction update.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good to see you outside of the grocery store.
We had long conversations at the deli yesterday, so. This will be a fairly quick meeting today. We are in the process of going through the bids. We have bid 12 different sub-packages, and we are presently reviewing those and looking to approve the site work, concrete, and structural steel at the December 19th meeting. Many of the others will be dealt with in January. With that, we are looking for work to begin at both sites on January 10th. Don't go looking for the building to rise on January 10th, but they should begin to bring in equipment and things will start to get going. We have developed, or actually O&G has developed a short flyer, which I will give you a copy of, one for the north end and one for Norton. These are going to be handed out to all of the citizens who live adjacent to the construction project. It's got a little bit of a history and a timeline, but the main point is that there are names on here of very specific people that citizens can contact if there's a concern or a question that comes up. O&G is very adamant, as is Arcadis, to try to deal with any concerns right away without them making the way through to counselors or other people. So you will have names here if you should hear from a citizen of any concern once construction starts. Please forward them to one of these people. Groundbreaking is scheduled for December 16th. We have sent out invitations to large groups of people. And everyone is welcome, so if we missed anyone, please let them know. We would be more than glad to have them attend. There will be, we're trying to keep it, short and sweet. There'll be three 3 speeches, or 4 actually. Dr. Solon introducing people, myself reviewing the Next Generation School Building Committee, along with the construction team. Peter introducing town council members, both present and past, and Sam Rosenberg doing the same with the Board of Ed. And then there will be, I think, 4 different shoveling exercises, starting with some students from each of the buildings, present town council members, present Board of Ed members, and the Next Generation School Building Committee. And we have hard hats for everyone, and you get to keep your hard hats so you can come by and visit the sites as they're going up. And I believe that's it. If you have any questions, be more than glad to answer them.
Questions for Mr. Gussenberg? If no one else has one, I do. When you talked about the bids coming back and taking a look at those, correct me if I'm wrong, and you may have said this when you first started, they're for specific items. It's not the whole expanse of the project. Is that correct, or do I have that wrong?
No, O&G oversees the entire construction process. They have gone out with individual packages. So for instance, the 3 that I mentioned that we're going to act on, one is for concrete, one is for site work, one is for structural steel. So there are 12 packages altogether that they recently have gone out with. There will be more to come, like in technology, food service, things like that. Each of those packages is put out separately. Different construction people in the state can bid on those. There's a process by which those are opened in a public session, and then the low bidder is reviewed by O&G to make sure that they've met all of the criteria, and then a recommendation is made to the committee. So there will be a process that will go on for a good part of this construction process, as various packages will be bid out, and we'll have a better idea financially how we're doing once some of these are approved and we're moving forward.
But knock wood, so far so good.
So far so good, but we haven't really finished reviewing the first set or acting on them yet. So yeah, we're pleased with the numbers we're seeing so far.
Cautiously optimistic.
That's a good way to put it.
All right. Last chance, Mr. Milone?
Peter, I'm not sure if this question's for you or for Rich. So you had said at the groundbreaking, which I can't attend because I'm going to be out of town, but your present town council members, are past town council members who might have been instrumental in moving this forward going to be invited or recognized in any way?
Past council members, past Board of Ed members are invited. The process for actually shoveling has grown. Originally, it started off, it was going to be Peter, Sam Rosenberg, Sean, myself, and Jeff Solon. And that was going to be one thing with the 5 of us representing different groups. As we began to talk with various people, they said, we really want to expand it beyond that. We would like a picture of some students doing that initial shoveling. We would like the town council doing that. So we've expanded it now for students, town council, Board of Ed, and Next Generation School Building Committee. I think you could probably expand it forever. It could keep growing. It did come up in conversation. What about past council members, Board of Ed members, whatever? They will be acknowledged in the speeches that Peter and Sam give, so that we will note those people who were involved previously.
And what, I had a conversation with, actually through email, but I did communicate with Mr. Walsh. We kind of picked a date where we thought it was legit, and there were 6 additions from the council that I passed along to Rich and to the group that's working on the groundbreaking. The 6 were Mr. Orris, Mr. Slocum, Ms. Pavano, Ms. Nichols, Mr. Barowie, and Mr. Bowman. So they will all receive invitations, or if they have not already.
I assume they have already. That's being done through Dr. Solin's office.
You bet. Anyone else? Seeing none, Mr. Gussenberg, thank you very much. Yes, if you want to leave those with us, that would be great. Thank you. Brings us to our new business items tonight, starting with item A. A and B were actually the subject of the public hearing at the start of the meeting. Item A is the approval of a resolution reallocating $292,500 in American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds from the Cheshire Community Pool Aquatics Enhancement Project to the development of Chapman Bartlam Park South Project. Mr. Jinks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Be it resolved that the Town Council approves resolution number 121024-2, whereas as part of the fiscal year 2021-2022 capital expenditure budget, voters of the town approved at referendum held on November 2nd, 2021, an appropriation and borrowing authorization in the amount of $7.9 million for development of Chapman Bartlam Park South, the Chapman Bartlam Park project. And whereas as its meeting held on November 14th, 2023, the Town Council approved an appropriation of $500,000 in Connecticut Small Town Economic Assistance Program, STEEP grant funds, and an allocation of $365,000 in American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds for Cheshire Community Pool Aquatic Enhancements, the Community Pool Project. And whereas in order to ensure compliance with the ARPA funds program and rules, the town wishes to reallocate $292,500 in ARPA funds from the Community Pool Project to the Chapman Bartlam Park Project. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council reallocates $292,000 in American Rescue Plan funds from the Cheshire Community Pool Aquatic Enhancements Project as approved by the Town Council at its meeting held November 14th, 2023, to the development of Chapman Bartlam Park South.
Thank you, Mr. Jinks. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Walsh. As mentioned to kick off discussion, this was the subject of a public hearing earlier this evening. If anyone has questions for either Mr. Kimball or Mr. Jascott, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to answer them. Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Which brings us to item B, which is the approval of resolution authorizing the issue of $292,500 in American Rescue Plan ARPA funds. Approval and resolution authorizing the issue of $292,500 bonds and notes to finance the appropriation for the Cheshire Community Pool Aquatic Enhancements. Ms. Pearson.
Be it resolved that the Town Council approves resolution number 121024-3, whereas at its meeting held on November 14th, 2023, the Town Council approved an appropriation of $500,000 in Connecticut Small Town Economic Assistance Program STEEP grant funds and an appropriation of $365,000 to be funded with an allocation of American Rescue Plan ARPA funds for Cheshire Community Pool Aquatic Enhancements, the Community Pool Project, and whereas in order to ensure compliance with the ARPA funds program and rules, the Town Council reallocated $292,500 in ARPA funds from the Community Pool Project to the development of Chapman Bartlam Park Project, and whereas in order to finance that portion of the Community Pool Project, the town wishes to authorize the issuance of $292,500 in bonds and notes of the town. Therefore, be it resolved that the town issue its bonds or notes in an amount not to exceed $292,500 to finance a portion of the previously approved appropriation for the Cheshire Community Pool Aquatic Enhancements, including but not limited to smash pad splash pad upgrades, and improvements in kiddie pool rehabilitation. The bonds or notes shall be issued pursuant to Section 7369 of the General Statutes of Connecticut, revision of 1958 as amended, and any other enabling acts. The amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by the amount of grants received by the town for the project and not separately appropriated to pay additional project costs. The bonds or notes shall be general obligations of the town secured by the irrevocable pledge of the full faith and credit of the town. B, that the town issue and renew its temporary notes from time to time in anticipation of the receipt of the proceeds from the sale of the bonds or notes for the project of the receipt of the grants of the project. The amount of the notes outstanding at any time shall not exceed $292,500. The note shall be issued pursuant to Section 7378 of the General Statutes of Connecticut, revision of 1958 as amended. The note shall be general obligations of the town secured by the irrevocable pledge of the full faith of the credit of the town. The town shall comply with the provisions of Section 7378A of the General Statutes if the notes do not mature within the time permitted by said Section 7378. C, the town manager and the treasurer of the town shall sign the bonds or notes by their manual or facsimile signatures. The law firm of Pullman and Comley, LLC, is designated as the bond counsel to approve the legality of the bonds or notes. The town manager and the treasurer are authorized to determine the amount, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions from form and other details of the bonds or notes, to designate one or more bank or trust companies to be certifying bank, registrar, transfer agent, and paying agent for the bonds or notes, to provide for the keeping of a record of the bonds or notes, to designate a municipal advisor to the town in connection with the sale of the bonds or notes, to sell the bonds or notes at public or private sale, to deliver the bonds or notes, and to provide all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes. Just a few more, folks. That the town hereby declares its official intent under federal income tax regulation, section 1.1502, that project costs may be paid from temporary advances of available funds, and that the town reasonably expects to reimburse any such advances from the proceeds of borrowings in an aggregate principal amount not in excess of the amount of borrowing authorized above for the project. The town manager and the treasurer are authorized to amend such declaration of official intent as they deem necessary or advisable, and to bind the town pursuant to such representation and covenants as they deem necessary or advisable, in order to maintain the continued exemption from federal income taxation of interest on bonds or notes authorized by this resolution if issued on a tax-exempt basis, including covenants to pay rebates of investment earnings to the United States in future years. E, that the town manager and the treasurer are authorized to make representations and enter into written agreements for the benefit of the holders of the bonds or notes to provide secondary market disclosure information, which agreements may include such terms as they deem advisable or appropriate in order to comply with applicable laws or rules pertaining to the sale or purchase of such bonds or notes. And F, that the town manager, the treasurer, the town council, the building committee or committees as established from time to time by the town council for the project and other proper officers of the town are authorized to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project, to apply for and accept grants for the project, and to issue bonds or notes to finance the aforesaid appropriation. Any question, folks?
I second that.
Any more details? Any clarification needed?
Thank you, Ms. Pearson, and congratulations on getting through that. It's tough when you draw the short straw. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Walsh, thank you. Like Ms. Pearson said, I think it's pretty self-explanatory after all that text. So, but does anyone seriously have questions or comments they'd like to make? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. And I'll give you a little breather, Ms. Pearson, and I will take the next one before we come back to you. Item number C is the call for a public hearing on the naming proposals for the new North End School. Be it resolved that the Town Council approves Resolution 121024-4. Be it resolved that the Town Council shall hold a public hearing at 6 p.m. on Thursday, January 16th, 2025. It says 24 on here. We forgot, yeah. I caught it on the fly, which is pretty, I'm impressed. To consider naming proposals for the new North End Elementary School, and be it resolved that the town manager shall cause a notice of said public hearing to be posted and published according to law, and be it further resolved that the date, time, and place, or any postponements thereof shall be determined by the town manager with the approval of the chair of the council. Thank you, Mr. Jenks. I will call for a vote on the public hearing. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Hopefully, we gave you a little respite, Ms. Pearson. Item D is the native plant resolution, and if you would, please.
Be it resolved that the Town Council approves Resolution Number 121024-5. Be it resolved that the Town Council, in concurrence with the Town Beautification Committee and the Environment Commission, hereby approves the following resolution. The Town of Cheshire continues its commitment to use native plants on town property wherever and whenever appropriate to promote the environmental benefits of native plantings, and to continue to avoid and work to eradicate invasive species. The Town Council also encourages education on the benefits of native plants, the importance of pollinators and plants which sustain them, and the negative impacts of invasive plants.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Questions?
Just a few comments. Little background, this actually started with the Environment Commission, who proposed a policy. They brought it forward to the Sustainability Committee, and with guests, including members from the Beautification Committee, it was discussed. It then went to the Beautification Committee committee, and they determined that a resolution might be more appropriate. So they drafted a resolution, which then went back to the Environment Commission. They reviewed it, approved it as was, and we have it here before us for a vote. But in sum, this is just demonstrating our commitment to the planting of native plantings on our town properties whenever appropriate and possible, and a commitment to continue to avoid and work to eradicate invasive species as outlined in the resolution.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm the liaison to the Beautification Committee, and I must say, they're a very passionate group of people who all understand the importance of not using invasive species anywhere. So this was kind of a no-brainer for them. They have always looked at different types of plantings for town property wherever they can. They're doing a great job with that. They're doing the trees right now, so I'll save that for my report later, though. I think they understand this pretty well, and I think it's nice to have it in writing now, so that going forward, we did kind of have something in writing, but kind of got lost in the book somewhere. So now this is out there, and 20 years from now, the next group will probably say, "Hey, do we have anything about this?" But we'll bring it back again, and hopefully, we'll continue making sure that we use as many native plant species as we can. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh, and please thank the committee at your next meeting. Mr. Malone.
So I just want to add something here. I'm in support of this resolution, and I'm wondering in practice how it's being implemented. For instance, we have two major schools under construction. I assume that the Beautification Committee is reviewing the landscape plans for those, and we'll be looking at this resolution as it relates to use of native plants. It would be a significant oversight if we didn't pay attention to that. But also, if we're really serious about this and we want to make a difference, and this is important to the community, I see Mike is in the audience tonight. I hope this is something that's on the plan of conservation in development's agenda to be incorporated as part of our plan, so that private sector developments in town are viewed in the same manner. We can only do so much on public property, but if this is important to the community, I think it should be implemented across the private sector development arena as well, and that would be probably the best place. Now, some of these things may already be in progress, may already be thinking about it, but I just want to make sure that we don't lose this opportunity to take the momentum and gain in advancing this agenda throughout the community. So, just to.
Just so you know, the Town Beautification Committee has already approved the plantings at the schools, and they've already gone through the whole blueprints of where the plants will be. So they had to do that probably a few months back already, so.
Do you know, Don, if they're...
Don't ask me what kind of plants.
No.
Green ones, I think.
I mean, this is great. I mean, it's great for us to do a resolution, but in practice, we should make sure we actually, get value out of it. If everyone's on board with this, let's make sure we get value.
And Mr. Glidden, do you know if there is an aspect of this that will be included in the POCD? Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, this was discussed when the Environment Commission and Inland Wetlands Agency went before the P&Z for their listening session. So we have that as our notes, as kind of incorporate into the natural resource chapters of the POCD. So there'll be some form of it, but obviously it'll kind of develop as we go forward, because also we're to go through public hearing processes. So we may hear from people in the town that may say, we want to see an extent of native where possible, but not 100%. But there'll be some sort of guidance in that POCD document.
Thank you, Mr. Glidden. And thank you, Mr. Mylon, for that as well. Seeing no other questions, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously by those present. Brings us to item E, which is the approval of RFP for the development of the state-conveyed North End property. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Be it resolved that the Town Council approves Resolution Number 121024-6. Be it resolved that the Town Council hereby approves the RFP for the development of the state-conveyed North End property as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Allard, thank you. Sorry. Before I kick it back to Mr. Wolf to start discussion, I would be remiss to not mention that today is Mr. Wolf's birthday. So happy birthday, Mr. Wolf.
Happy birthday,
Thank you for spending your time with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And with that, I'll let you kick off discussion.
With that, just wanted to say this went through our planning committee. This is a pretty big potential project for the town. I just want to thank Mr. Glidden and Mr. Martelli for all the hard work, going back and forth a couple times on this through planning. And I'll pass it on to these guys to give some details on the request for proposal.
Sure. I will, I'll offer as much information as you want, so I'll just give a quick summary, and then if there's specific questions, I'd be happy to answer. So this has been going on for the better part of about 2 years. This property was conveyed to the town from the state of Connecticut for the purpose of economic development. That was actually in the state, in the Public Act, which turned the property over to the town. So the town had 5 years in order to turn the property over to a developer for economic development purposes. We've gone through it, we've had the property looked at, we've come up with a request for proposal, which is what RFP stands for those of you that don't know, to really solicit for private developers in the open market. And so the idea here is that we will hear from the open market to see what proposals the town does get back, establish a committee to review said proposals, and then go from there. We're looking to issue it as soon as you folks act on it this evening, and then the 60-day period for submissions to come in. The idea is to issue it this week, and so it'll go out before the holidays, and then there'll be 60 days for the proposals to come back into the town, which we think is a fair amount of time for the proposals to be put together. There is an additional 2.5 acres that the town is waiting for to come from the state, which was just in the last budget session in 2024. So we're waiting for that to come in. That's all identified in here with maps and whatnot. So whoever does submit on this does understand that that property is also available to be added to this for economic development purposes. So we think that we have a great document here. It's been fleshed out, as Greg mentioned, through the planning committee of the town council, as well as through town staff, town engineering, et cetera. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Martelli? Mr. Jinks?
I remember when we talked about this a while back, I thought there was no residential component on the parcel at all. And I know in reading through this, it looks like there may be some provision for that. It's a little bit hard to understand when I'm looking at them.
Do you want to?
Let me find it. So the regs allow for residential developments in the area. However, our position's been, this is for economic development purposes. And we've made it clear in the posting that while residential uses are allowed in the zoning district, we are not looking for residential development at this site. We're looking for either, the other uses, the non-residential uses that are allowed in the zoning district.
Okay, but somebody could propose residential and it would be,
Well, it would be first off, it would be the discretion of the steering committee that's formed by the
Okay.
council to say which proposal you would like to award it.
right,
But
okay.
the preference would be a non-residential development there in keeping with the current zoning regulations.
Right, okay, thanks.
And Jim, if I could, the legislation is pretty clear that it's for economic development purposes, and so our position is that residential is not necessarily economic development purposes. And so, when the proposals come back, we're looking for economic development versus a residential subdivision.
We covered that on page 11 of the proposal, where you have the top paragraph. The town envisions that the development will result in a project that provides clear economic benefit to the community, while residential uses are permitted in the zoning district. Is the preference that the site is developed for one of the industrial or commercial uses which are listed above. So we're pretty clear on a preference, at least.
Mr. Walsh?
Just a quick question, looking at the property, will there be access only on Route 10, or will there be another access way to 322 on the other side?
No, access is only onto the Route 10 frontage.
Only onto Route 10?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Andrew, status of the 2.5 acres?
We have no further notice on that right now.
Okay.
So
Very good.
we're going to continue to push for that. I mean, in a perfect world, we get that sooner rather than later, but we don't have any additional details right now.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously by those present and Zooming. Brings us to item F, the approval of the RFP for request of recreational use project for the Highland Avenue property. Ms. Allard.
Be it resolved that the Town Council approves resolution number 121024-7. Be it resolved that the Town Council hereby approves the RFP for the request of recreational use projects for the Highland Avenue property as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Allard. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Allard, for discussion.
This is regarding a 10-acre parcel that is across from Cheshire Park that was granted to the town of Cheshire from the state of Connecticut with restrictions for specific use for recreation. And with that, I will pass it over to Mr. Martelli and Mr. Glidden.
Sure. So very similar to the other RFP, this was state property. It's located roughly in the corner of Jarvis Street and Highland Avenue, directly opposite Cheshire Park. It's a 10-acre hayfield, essentially just south of the Splash Car Wash. The property was granted to the town for recreational purposes only, and so that was about 20 years ago the town has had this property under title. And the idea with this is that we're looking for recreational purposes for an outside user. There's parameters in the RFP which they'd have to achieve in order to demonstrate to the town what the exact benefit is. It would be a land lease type arrangement, so the town would retain ownership of the parcel, but then lease it for the terms that we'll agree to from whoever the developer is. The town has been contacted by some outside users who are interested in doing recreational uses on there. So that was one of the reasons why we're starting to move this one forward. So we'll see, put it out in the open market and see what we get.
Mr. Walsh.
Again, I'm going to talk about access again. This could be a problem because of the access only onto Route 10. I know we had this discussion once before. Is there any way of
talking with the state to see if there's any way, because I don't know if any project would be able to get approved on that piece of land without having some kind of access to Jarvis.
So we're clear about that. We're not making any promises to the responders for access other than the chosen developer to go through the state process in order to get a curb cut onto Route 10. Preferable location would be directly opposite the driveway into Cheshire Park. But it's pretty clear that the state prison property is not going to allow access onto their access road or to they have a strip of land right to the north of the site also. And so any access to this site would have to be on the developer onto Route 10. If they want to have discussions with the state prison, that's on them. We're not going to facilitate any of that.
And
Up front, anyway.
But do you think even just that one curb cut there would be enough for a facility like that? Or would that?
I think it's all what gets proposed.
Yeah, okay.
It could be something as simple as outdoor pickleball courts, or it might be something as elaborate as an indoor facility. So, I think it's going to depend on what we get back from the responders.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes, Ms. Kramer? Passes unanimously? Tricia, there you go. Thank you.
I'm
Bring-
sorry, I'm on a delay.
That's okay. Brings us to item G, which is the acceptance of the extension of Colton Lane as a town road. Mr. Jinks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Be it resolved, the town council approves resolution number 121024-8. Be resolved, the town council accepts the extension of Colton Lane as a town road conditional upon the filing of a maintenance bond and recording of the warranty deed for the roadway and the storm drainage and sightline easements, free and clear of all encumbrances.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Allard, thank you. Discussion, Mr. Jinks.
I don't know, about a year ago or so, so it's kind of a process that we accept the road from the developer. That's what we're doing.
Questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. There you go. Brings us to item H, amendments to the town pension plan document. Mr. Wolf.
A request through the chair so that we don't have to read this entire motion. I know that we may feel.
I know.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me.
I don't know if I can get through this without coughing.
If you would. I think we can do, actually, let me take it then to prevent you for having to
Thank you, sir.
microphone cough on your birthday. Be resolved that the town council approves resolution 121024-9, whereas the town sponsors the retirement plan for the employees of the town of Cheshire as amended and restated effective July 1, 2013, the town retirement plan, and whereas Code of Ordinances, Section 2-131E provides that the town council may adopt and amend retirement plans at any time, and whereas pursuant to Part 4, Article 5.1 of the Town Retirement Plan, the town is authorized to amend the town retirement plan by action of its town council, and whereas the town wishes to approve and adopt the first amendment to the town retirement plan to, 1, amend the applicable provisions of Part 2, Plan B, and Part 3, Plan A of the Town Retirement Plan, effective January 1, 2000, to offer the monthly annuity with reversion optional form of distribution to Board of Education, BOE, secretaries and media technicians pursuant to the August 19th, 2024 Memorandum of Agreement, MOA, made by and between the Board of Education of the Town of Cheshire and Cheshire Educational Secretaries and Technicians United, and 2, amend the applicable provisions of Part 1 Police, Part 2 Plan B, and Part 3 Plan A of the Town Retirement Plan, effective as of the date set forth in such First Amendment, to clarify that whenever distributions of benefits commence after the date such benefits first become payable, the distribution will include a lump sum retroactive benefit payment not adjusted for interest, equal to the sum of the monthly annuity payments that were payable for the period beginning on the date and the benefits first became payable and ending on the date immediately preceding the date as of which the benefits commence to be paid. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that pursuant to the authority set forth in Code of Ordinances, Section 2, 131E, and Part 4, Article 5.1 of the Town Retirement Plan, the Town Council hereby approves and adopts the First Amendment to the Town Retirement Plan, effective as of the date set forth in such First Amendment, in substantially the form of the First Amendment attached hereto, and further resolved that the town manager be and he hereby is authorized, empowered, and directed to execute and deliver on behalf of the town the First Amendment to the Town Retirement Plan in substantially the form attached hereto, with all changes as the town manager shall approve as being in the best interests of the town, his execution and delivery thereof to be conclusive evidence of such approval, and to take any and all such additional actions as he deems necessary or appropriate in order to implement the same. Mr. Wolf, would you like to second? Thank you, Mr. Wolf. You definitely got the easy part in that deal. Mr. Jascott, did you want to join us to kick off discussion?
Sure. Thank you for suffering through that. This is really to get our plan document up to speed with regards to a right of reversion interest to one of the Board of Ed union groups. It's something that we believe should have been included in the 2013 document, but inadvertently was left out. The Board of Ed Secretaries Union Group did get together and approve a memorandum of understanding that both they and the Board of Ed agreed that it should have been included in that document. So it's really a point of clarification, and there should be no cost to the town because these benefits are all actuarially equivalent when you have a joint survivor benefit or a right of reversion benefit. They're all equivalent to a single annuity as far as the cost goes. So if you take a right of reversion benefit, your benefit starts out lower than it would be if it was a single annuity. Reverting back, if your spouse passes, to what it would be if it was a single annuity. But you pay the price by taking a lower benefit up front. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on that piece of it. So the explanation is kind of like the resolution.
One is more lengthy
Yeah,
than the next.
The other piece of this is we've had some instances where people have retired and are due a benefit upon their retirement, or maybe even sometime after they retire once they hit their 65th year. And for whatever reason, maybe they haven't filed their paperwork timely to begin to avail themselves of that benefit. I've seen this happen a few times in my career here, and it's usually due to some hardship. You know, maybe somebody's sick and they can't get around to the paperwork, or whatever the case may be. That benefit they've earned, and you know, they should be entitled to get it retroactively back to when their retirement benefit would have started. And there's been, I think, some confusion around that over the years. But this would just clarify that they are due a benefit. And frankly, again, there's no cost to the town here, really. These plans are actuarially funded. So the benefits have been paid for in theory by the town over the lifespan of these people's employment. And if anything, their delaying of getting their benefits probably does benefit the plan in certain respects, because the plan gets to use that money and hopefully make it grow until such time they do avail themselves of the paperwork and get the benefit.
Questions for Mr. Jaskat? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Of those present and on Zoom. Thank you, Mr. Jaskat. Appreciate it. Brings us to item I, the appointment of municipal contact person from the town of Cheshire to the Sustainable CT Program. Ms. Pearson.
Be it resolved that the Town Council approves Resolution Number 121024-10. Be it resolved that the Town Council hereby authorizes and appoints Deputy Director of Public Works Ray Harris as the municipal contact person from the Town of Cheshire for the Sustainable CT Program to fulfill the vacancy of Arnett Talbot.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Thank you, Mr. Jenks. While we are thrilled to have Mr. Harris, we are not thrilled that we have to fill the vacancy, and I'll get to something on that in a little bit. We have a motion and a second. Questions?
Just a comment.
Yep.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Arnett. In March of 2020, when this town council passed a resolution to be a part of Sustainable CT, Arnett Talbot agreed to serve as our municipal liaison and has worked with the Sustainability Committee for the last 4.5, almost 5 years. We appreciate your service, your assistance. We couldn't have attained the level of bronze twice in this town without your support, and you will be sorely missed. Ray Harris is great. We've loved working with him so far. We're looking forward to working with him in the future, but we're going to miss you, Arnett.
And I'll upload this resolution to the Sustainable CT website.
I know, you're ready. Thank you.
Questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Brings us to item J, which is the approval of 2025 Town Council regular meeting schedule. Ms. Allard.
Be it resolved that the Town Council approves Resolution Number 121024-11. Be it resolved that the Town Council approves the following meeting dates for the 2025 Town Council regular meetings. All meetings are held in council chambers on the second Tuesday of each month at 7 o'clock p.m. unless otherwise indicated. The dates are January 14th, February 11th, March 11th, April 8th, May 13th, June 10th, July 8th, August 12th, September 9th, October 14th, November 12th, which is off the regular schedule due to the holiday, December 9th, and January 13th.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Walsh, thank you. Ms. Allard, for discussion, these are the meeting dates.
Yes.
I believe the November 12th is a Wednesday, is that correct? We're moving it off of the Tuesday and on to Wednesday because of Veterans Day, which is Tuesday the 11th. So that evening, we will meet on a Wednesday as opposed to a Tuesday evening. Questions, comments? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Item K is approval of stipulated tax agreements. We will be discussing that in executive session, so we will hold item K, which brings us to the town manager's report and communication. And I'm passing those down now. By extension, because it's the town manager's report and communication, it must also be the assistant town manager's report and communication. So if you would like to communicate in any way, shape, or form, I do want to say that, that tonight is bittersweet for us. We talked about the happy, celebrating Greg's birthday. We'll talk about the sad, which is this is going to be your last meeting with us, which is it does something to me. We obviously go back a long ways personally, but professionally speaking, we have worked closely together for 13 years, and I can honestly say that I would not have been able to perform my duties as a counselor, and especially now as a chair, without your wisdom, your help, and everything you've done for me. So I want to personally thank you. You certainly are willing to speak to the council. I know we'll all have an opportunity coming up at a later date, but I would be remiss not to mention it, and thank you.
Thank you. I will continue to enjoy the rest of this, my last official council meeting, until I become a gadfly and come to all the meetings.
Or at least watch on TV, yes. And text us all during the meetings, yes. With that, Mr. Kimball, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll dive into my town manager report first, although I did have my own little note there at the end that's not in your printed copy for just a few very brief remarks about Arnett as well. So thank you for introducing. But first and foremost, and for many of us I know here that were able to attend, just wanted to highlight this past Sunday's annual Winter Wonderland at Bartlam Park. Yes, it is an annual event. We've done tree lighting for years, but I think everyone who participated or were able to see what we were able to accomplish this year would agree it was bigger and better than ever before, and it was wonderful to have the new location. Really a great way to kick off, as we've been planning and discussing for months, sort of a winter kickoff of a park that we are all so very proud of, and I think it's just a little bit of a teaser of what's to come as we come into the spring, get the band shell finished, and have wonderful summer concerts and movie nights and all sorts of great things this upcoming year. But I did just want to, I wrote a brief little statement here just to thank all who attended and all who participated in planning our newly reimagined Winter Wonderland at Bartlam Park. We had an incredible turnout on really what was a picture-perfect evening, certainly for early December. Activities included games for all ages, wagon and horse-drawn carriage rides, cookies, hot cocoa, alpacas, which thought they were reindeer, music and the holiday tree and menorah lighting, and of course Santa arriving on a Cheshire Fire Department fire truck for pictures. The newly expanded area was certainly on full display and received rave reviews. Special thank you goes to Barb Costello, Elizabeth May, and John Golick from Recreation for the organizing and programming components. But additionally, a huge thank you, most specifically to Mark Cunningham, along with Dan Bombero and Rich Pruitt, and all of our incredible DPW maintainers, and I can't stress that enough, the amount of work they've been doing over the last couple of months, to work so hard to create the holiday light displays, decorating the new poles, also decorating the poles on West Main Street, which I hope everyone has had a chance to see. And the menorah itself, which was of course new this year, the new tree decorations, and again, perhaps as I said here most impressively, the in-house creation of one of the most beautiful hay wagons you'll ever see. The finer details of it, my daughter rode it. I took some great photos near the end of the event. Just really a picture-perfect addition, and one that we can use now that we own it and can use for a variety of events throughout the year. There's also some plans in the works to have it parked with an old tractor over by the tree for some photo ops for the next few weeks, hopefully here pretty soon. So you'll see more of it out there. I want to also thank our Recreation Commission, our student volunteers, the Lions Club, Cheshire Junior Women's Club, Power Station events, and of course, Town Council for all their support. Those are 4 photos that I took while I was there. There's many, many more online. And again, just thank you to everyone who participated and supported this wonderful, I think, sort of kickoff, and as we called it, soft opening, although this was really a soft opening with a bang. It was really pretty fantastic. So a little more of the monthly Bartlam Park South update. Again, no change. Not a lot of change from last month, but all newly expanded park areas, as I've said before, are open to the public use. Approximately half of the punch list items have been resolved. The remainder is largely landscaping, which will be done this spring. We've reduced contractor erosion and sediment control. I think Mr. Milone asked this last month. The inspections are down to monthly from weekly, and a lot of the ENS controls have been removed, but those remaining, particularly along the river side of the property, will remain, and you'll expect to see those up and until the summer per deep regulations. Paving the rest of Bartlam Park, as we know, is anticipated for the spring, following the council's support through the capital budget. And then just the last little detail here that the band shell's still on track for February, maybe March fabrication completion and delivery. The town seal with the word Cheshire as planned has been finalized, just so everyone's aware. The edge of that seal, and it's really just the seal on the left. The right is not necessarily a representational image there. Will be in a silver frost metallic color, and the actual seal will be on that circle there above the word Cheshire, white with blue, the traditional Cheshire seal, but framed in the same silver to kind of tie it all together as the option for what the manufacturer is able to do. So we think it's going to look really great, and we're really excited to see it. And this was one of the final things they needed, approved before they can finalize all the fabrication. So that's the Bartlam Park South update. Some library updates, again with another sad departure of Beth Piezzo, we are very happy for Beth, but she's relocating to New Hampshire. I've appointed Deputy Director Sandy Hernandez as our interim library director for the duration of the recruitment period. Last week, Sandy shared with me the following information that I did want to pass along. I know it's a little lengthy, but I think it's worth it. It's an innovative new program, unique and new program that the library has launched a few months ago called Book Boxes. So over the past 4 months, they've given out 67 book boxes, and each of these program events are capped at 10 people, but they typically allow another 2 to 5 off of the wait list. People register for the program, fill out a Google form where they list their book preferences, interests, and favorite color. One of our reference librarians, Christy Chrysler, then creates a box with a couple of selected library books that they suggest, along with some small gifts tailored to meet their interests, and wraps everything in tissue paper that matches their favorite color. And all of this goes into a box that she's created a special barcode that allows staff to check all the items out without the patron having to open the box and see what's inside. So she also includes a review card. Patrons can let her know what they thought of the book, the treats, the box, etc. And this new offering has been incredibly popular. At least one patron leaving Christy a note in the box telling her how much she loves the program. Praise for the program has made its way to the Cheshire Facebook forum, which has created more positive buzz. So just a really cool, innovative, our library, again, is second to none in the state, and is always coming up with new and interesting things. And I thought this was a really cool one that sort of allows people to kind of gift themselves, really free of charge, right? A reading experience along with some other associated items. So it's really cool. Just a reminder, the Town of Cheshire Volunteer Holiday Reception is scheduled for next Wednesday, December 18th, from 4 to 7 at Byron Rondo's. Deadline for RSVP for committee or staff liaisons is tomorrow, Wednesday, the 11th. We touched on the groundbreaking earlier from Mr. Gussenberg, so I won't repeat, but just a reminder, that's on December 16th at noon. It will be, I don't know if he mentioned, but it looks like the latest plan is that it'll be leaving from the Waverly Il Gusto parking lot and with a reception to follow after the 2 sites at Il Gusto. So just a slight change from, I think, what the initial plan was. But more to come, and you'll see it in the invites. And last but not least, certainly this time of year, Cheshire's Energy Assistance Program. Just want to highlight our Cheshire Human Services is an intake site for Energy Assistance Program. The Energy Assistance Program offers financial assistance to income-eligible households in paying for a portion of the household's heating costs during the winter months. This is a supplemental assistance program, and award amounts are lower this energy season, so it's helpful to plan accordingly. Payments are made directly to fuel or utility vendors. Program eligibility is based on income and household size. Applicants are required to provide documentation of current income for household members over the age of 18. It's an annual program, so the application does need to be completed or recompleted each year. Individuals interested in applying should contact Kristen Sherry at 203-271-6690. I have some upcoming council meeting dates there listed, including tomorrow, the special meeting of the town council at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Tentatively, a joint personnel and town council meeting is, as emails going around today, scheduled for January 13th. Our next regular council meeting is January 14th. And again, the public hearing we called for earlier, January 16th, so a busy week for the school naming considerations. I, like Peter, will not be able to say too many things about our net without probably getting choked up. But I did have here in my notes that I wanted to take a special occasion. I think unless you've lived it in our office, the amount of work that goes on planning for not just council meetings, but of course everything we do, but I think council meetings in particular are the culmination of an entire month's worth of very hard work and coordination and collaboration with our incredible department head team. Arnett has been at my side for these last 7 years. I can tell you when I first took over and overlapped with my predecessor, Michael Milone, the very first thing he said to me was, Arnett will be your right-hand gal, and she will, be there at your side, and nothing, certainly, like I said, nothing could be more true. It is hard to imagine doing this job without her at my side. She's been incredible. I'm gonna miss her very dearly, and both our last-minute cram sessions planning for council meetings and our post-council meeting, sometimes commiserating sessions as we think about how things went and what we could do better, but anyway, thank you, Arnett, for all of your many years, including all of those before I got here, of service to this incredible town. So it's a better place because of you. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, let's quickly move along. I do want to, in the monthly status reports are in the packets, but I want to thank Chief Dreif, Chief Kasner, Jim Jascott, and Andy Martelli for providing their information every month. Don't get me wrong, there are months where I don't go through it with a fine-tooth comb, but more often than not, we do, and we appreciate the information you provide to us on a monthly basis, so thank you. I just wanted to mention that before the year ended. We appreciate it. And I know that you've included stuff with staff as well, Chief, so we appreciate seeing those items as well. Item 10 is reports of committees of the council, chairman's reports. I will start to the Zoom on my far left. Ms. Kramer, anything from personnel?
We are currently, first I wanted to thank everybody for accommodating my medical weirdness, and I'm having a little bit of audio difficulty. I'm just on a little bit of a delay. We are currently going through the practice of reviewing town manager's performance, and like Sean said, we are tentatively scheduled to meet mid-January, and I am currently receiving evaluations from town council members. Thank you.
Mr. Wolf?
Nothing to report, sir.
Ms. Allard?
I have nothing to report.
Mr. Jinks? And Ms. Pearson?
Sustainability Committee met on the 18th. We approved the resolution, which we brought forth tonight. And we also met with the Boulder Knoll folks again, who are still talking about developing a composting site and soliciting support. So we're asking for more information from them. And we're in the process still of beginning to review our contract for this next year for our waste management. That's it.
Which brings us to 11 appointments. A, liaison reports, again, to my far left on Zoom, Ms. Kramer. Any liaison report?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf?
No report.
Ms. Allard?
I have nothing to report.
Mr. Jinks?
Yeah, a quick report for economic development. Yetta was at at the meeting, let's see, when's this? In November meeting. So you guys might remember that we had approved $10,000 for kind of small business, I guess, startup assistance through the chamber. She reported that they have helped with the $10,000. They helped 18 small businesses with that money this year. So probably a bit more than I kind of anticipated they would be able to help, but sounds like that's that little amount that we provided has gone a long way. So, you guys know.
Ms. Pearson?
Energy Commission's just working on their POC contributions, and I missed Parks and Rec, but I know that they were planning for the event this last weekend, which already our town manager reported on. So.
Mr. Walsh?
Cheshire Housing Authority, I mentioned last month, Jack's Farms was approved. The $21 million project will be starting the groundbreaking probably in the spring for 1, 2, and 3 bedroom of affordable housing for 45 units. So that's good news. The Beautification Committee is moving forward with the tree planting in the south end on Route 10. They are trying to find more businesses that they're going to be planting the trees on. And one of the things that did come up, and I would strongly agree with, is that maybe the town could start looking into doing something in the south end on Route 10 that we did over on West Main Street in terms of the lighting and making it more of a little community feel, so it's not looking like strip malls. So I'd like to maybe put that in Andrew's ears and see what we could do on that. So, but that's all for me.
Mr. Malone?
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Appointments, I know that Mr. Veliber isn't here. Any appointments? And there are none, but they are coming. We've got a bunch of them that will hit us, I know, in February, so. Town Attorney's Report, Mr. D'Onofrio, thank you, sir. Council Communications, anyone have letters to the council? Seeing none, nothing for miscellaneous, which brings us to executive session. We have 4 items for executive session: labor negotiations, contract negotiations, land acquisition, and pending litigation, to include our Assistant Town Manager, Ms. Talbot, Ms. Shepherd, our Town Attorney, Chief Drife.
And Jim Jascott will join us.
And, okay, usually you get to sneak out, so, Mr. Jascott.
Tonight.
And council. So I will accept a motion. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Second, Ms. Pearson. We are now in executive session. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Mickey. It's nice of you to spend your birthday